The time is at hand.
Hey there. Hope you're doing okay. I've got some ghost stories for you. Back when I was 13, my brother slept in a room that was usually weird. We thought it was nothing until my brother heard my voice. I was actually asleep, but he heard my voice all the time, just outside the room. And a few days later, my voice disappeared, and it turned into banging. That continued for about 3 weeks. When I was a kid, I grew up in a renovated coal mining village in the northeastern United States. Nothing very noteworthy or historical about the town itself, though it's fun to note that I used to walk up the Centrale on weekends on the graffiti highway. It was a very small, very old community with a lot of quiet history. For reference, who people don't know, mining villages usually were built in long, angle roads, lines with little 2-story houses, all identical to one another. In my town's case, all the houses were also double blocks. As time went on and the miners left, people would add on to the houses and make them more livable and modern. My house, for example, originally only had 2 rooms and an attic. The owners before us added a kitchen onto the downstairs, a tiny indoor bathroom, a back porch, and they expanded the existing 2 rooms. When my parents moved in, my dad, a carpenter, expanded the front porch, turned the back porch into a bathroom, turned the bathroom into a laundry room, and, most important for the story, he knew my mom wanted to have a baby. So, he cut the upstairs bedroom in half to make the expanded space into a master bedroom, and the original part of the house as a future nursery / current storage. Keep this in mind for later. A bit more backstory about my family before the spooky stuff kicks in. My mother was supposedly infertile. She and my father tried for years to have a baby, but my dad was significantly older and my mom just wasn't having any luck. Got to the point where she just had to give up on children and instead focused all of her time and energy into her small business. This is why she refused to believe that she was pregnant until 2 months in. She was in her late 30s and was a mix of terrified and ecstatic. Now here's the weird stuff. Before my mom found out about me, she had been way more worried about the sounds coming from the spare bedroom. When no one else was home, Mom used to hear boxes moving in it, as well as loud, heavy footsteps. Anytime she went in there, no one would be around, but she'd often find that objects wouldn't be where she left them, or the window would be open, even if it had been locked. My dad never believed her, but when she found out she was having a baby, Mom joked that maybe an angel was trying to clear out the bedroom for them. My bedroom didn't have a door, and I wouldn't get one until I was about 13. Don't ask why. My dad just got lazy after the house was all fixed up. I've had really terrible insomnia all my life, and one of the most vivid memories I have is of lying in bed late at night, watching something strange outside my door. It was always a man with indistinguishable features, shadowy in the dark, but never menacing. He wore a rounded hat and carried a lantern in his left hand. Nearly every night I'd see this figure leaning up against my door frame in a silent watch, never entering or speaking. My family believed I was just seeing a shadow from something in my room and didn't believe me. But the man would move sometimes. He would turn his head to face me, looking away later. When my dog was still a puppy, he would often look down the stairs whenever the dog would start whining in his crate. I stopped seeing this figure when I finally got a door, but this memory lingers even now as an adult. I feel this strange energy in the original parts of my childhood home. It's never bad or creepy, just calm. It's like always feeling as though someone's home, not in an intruder way, more like the peace you have in knowing that you're alone with friends, if that makes sense. My dad told me the other day that one of our neighbors saw someone standing in the upstairs window the other day, so I hope my friendly ghost is doing okay. I don't know if this counts, but The other day I woke up at like 1 a.m. and was upside down in my bed with all the blankets off me. I turned around and put the blanket over my head and then pulled my pillow because it was really comfy. But when I pulled it, I felt something pull to the opposite direction and it just went up again. I was super scared, just paralyzed under my blanket. And I didn't even feel it because I probably just slept until 6 a.m. And no, it wasn't a dream. I can distinguish both really well. I don't remember much from this time, but from ages 5 to 10, I lived in a smallish house with my mom, dad, and 2 brothers. My brothers shared bunk beds in their room, and I had my own room right next to theirs. Every night we would all watch TV downstairs together as a family. It was a pretty open house, and we were right next to the stairs, so if something was happening upstairs, we could hear it. Every night while watching TV, we would hear my bed creaking as if someone was jumping up and down in it. Every night. Never thought anything of it since I was so young. I actually thought it was just my cat jumping up and down on the bed. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, or if I was just young, but I would also have very vivid dreams. They were often reoccurring. One was about a ghost living in the house. Long story short, we named the ghost Casperina, like Casper the ghost, and glad I didn't really get to know what ghosts were back then, because if that were now, I would never sleep in that room again. Nobody believes me. We believe you. But I was following a car for nearly 20 miles, and I thought it was lifting up and seemed to be floating above the highway, when suddenly the car disappeared, and as I approached the top of the hill, I could see headlights in the field. I got out of the car and I ran to help, as I could see 2 people in the car. As I came up to the car, I noticed that the people in the car were not conscious, and those people were completely wet, and there was water leaking out of the car. I knocked on the windows, and no response. I couldn't get the doors open because they were locked. I called 911 and my phone kept shutting down, but I had a full charge on my phone. I used a flashlight and shined inside the car. The occupants were covered in green moss, like from the inside of a fish tank. I ran back to the highway and flagged a trucker down, and he said he could see the headlights from down the highway as he approached. I told him what I saw, and we ran back to the car. And it was completely dry. The doors were not locked. The next day I was so curious about the car I had found in the field that I went back to the mile marker and found the tracks. The car was missing, but there were no tire marks coming out, only tracks where the car had gone off the road, and a giant spot of wet dirt where the car sat, with not one footprint in the muddy dirt. It still bothers me to this day, and it's been almost 20 years. So there you go, there's some Freaky Friday ghost stories. Hope you enjoyed those. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next time. God bless.